America's #1 national television program on Asia.
Hello, I'm Yue-Sai Kan. Welcome to Looking East. Tonight we're going to meet Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, the Prime Minister of Malaysia. We were privileged to speak with him just a few months before he won a landslide re-election. Curiously, many developing countries have attempted to manufacture their own car. Tonight, we'll take a look at the Proton saga, the made-in-Malaysia car considered an important component in Malaysia's industrialization program. And we'll speak with Dato' Rahman, the president of the Malaysian airline that provides a unique service for this very unique country. We'll be back in a moment. Prime Minister of Malaysia since 1981, Dr. Mahathir Mohamad is an outspoken champion of the fast-growing region of Southeast Asia. We spoke with the Prime Minister at his office in Kuala Lumpur. Mr. Prime Minister, please describe your system of government.
Well, we have what is known as a parliamentary democracy and a constitutional monarchy. This means, of course, that the king has got no legislative power. He has no executive power. He merely formalizes the laws that are passed by Parliament. Parliament itself is made up of members elected through a general election, and from among the members, cabinet is chosen.
Your Excellency, with a population of 15 million, with rooms for millions more, we understand that you're working towards expanding your numbers. That's really so different from so many countries.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, it is not so much expansion, but a regulated increase in the population. At the present rate of population increase, we would achieve about 70 million in about 50 years' time.
You say 70?
70 million in about 50 years' time. Mm-hmm. What we intend to do is to achieve 70 million in 100 years' time. So there is a slowing down, in fact, but it will not slow down as much as some people would like us to slow down. Some people think that Malaysia should only support about maybe 20 million.
For what reason do they say that?
Well, they think generally that the population of the world is increasing so fast that it is good for everybody to cut down on their population. But we have a lot of spaces, we have a lot of potential, and we think that we can support a population of 70 million without having to sacrifice the standards of living.
We visited a rural health clinic in the east coast of Malaysia. We were very impressed. Please describe for us how your national health services work.
This country has a national health service, free national health service, which is non-contributory. And this is something we inherited from the past. It all began when the British were here and decided that they should have hospitals in order to treat government offices, British government offices. The facility was then extended to all government offices, and since the local people were just beginning to accept Western medicine, they were also allowed access to the hospital service. We find, of course, that the people in the rural areas have been neglected in the past. The moment we became independent, we set about setting up clinics in the rural areas. And these clinics are very well accepted by the people. They are manned by trained personnel, and they have been able to provide good health service in the rural areas. And the mortality rate has gone down, and generally this health of the people in the rural areas is much better now than ever before.
Your Excellency, since this show is for the American audience, Malaysia has never accepted foreign aid from America. Why?
Well, we believe more in trade rather than aid. We feel that if we can trade with others, we can make sufficient money for ourselves, and we have proven that this can be done. We have no very big problems with the United States as a country. There are times, of course, when we disagree on the things that the US does, but if we disagree, it is based on issues rather than as a general relationship between two countries.
Now, then what do you think are the main issues of disagreement?
Well, presently we feel that American policies in the Middle East is not quite right. We also think that in trade, the American tendency to subsidize American primary products in competition with our primary products is unfair to us. Of course, the usual complaint about quotas in terms of imports into the United States and things like that. Otherwise, there is no major issue.
Your Excellency, I know that Malaysia is against the American policy towards Libya. Can you tell us why?
Well, Malaysia, like any other country, is very much against terrorism. We have had terrorists in this country since 1948, and we have dealt with them. But we have dealt with them directly. We don't punish other people if we cannot get at them. And this is very important, that we don't take it out of innocent people whenever we have a problem like that. This is why we are against the raid on Libya. If Libyans are involved, although it may be very difficult, but we have to track down the Libyans who are involved, the people who are actually involved. But you cannot go and bomb a country and in the process kill a lot of innocent people, including children, because you can't get at the terrorists. Your intention is, of course, to frighten the terrorists into stopping their activity. But experience has shown that it does not frighten them. After all, even if you bomb other people, it's not their life. And we are not certain whether the terrorists are actually connected with the people that you have bombed and killed. So the likelihood is that there will be more terrorists, there will be more terrorist acts. I really feel that it is not justified.
Your Excellency, we visited your factory that makes Proton Saga, a Malaysian car. We want to know, what made you decide to make a car instead of something more economical to make, such as a motor scooter?
Well, we feel that if we build a car, we will develop a lot of other supporting industries. A car industry is not a single isolated industry. It has to have a lot of supporting industries. Once you have these supporting industries, there will be other industries that will develop. For example, small engines could be built once we have the capacity to build big motorcar engines, relatively big motorcar engines, and the components of the motorcars. But the principal reason why we decided on building motorcars is that we buy the biggest number of cars around this region. Not very big in terms of the United States, of course, not running into millions, but we buy a lot of passenger cars from Japan, from Europe. And we think that if we go in for that, and if we are able to export a little, we would achieve economies of scale. Apart from us, there are not many countries producing cars. If we can find an item that we can do which others are not doing, I think there will be some future for us.
Where would you place tourism?
Tourism is something that we think we can develop here. Malaysia has always been the crossroads in this region, which makes Malaysia quite an interesting place because we have three major cultures here: the Chinese culture, the Indian culture, and the Malay culture. So if you come to Malaysia, you will see all the three without having to visit three countries. You just visit Malaysia.
While we were in Malaysia, we attended the annual conference of the Pacific Area Travel Association. Dr. Mahathir Mohamad spoke of the phenomenal growth of tourism in the region.
And the past 14 years have seen a lot of changes and improvements in our tourism facilities. Where once straightforward trade and manufacturing dominated, now tourism has created a powerful niche for itself, particularly in Asia. Tourism now generates business to the tune of US $100 billion yearly, and it is growing by leaps and bounds.
Your Excellency, our show in America is called Looking East, and I know your favorite policy called Look East policy.
Yes.
Would you please explain your policy?
Well, we discovered that the Japanese did extremely well despite being defeated in the last war. They were able to pull themselves up literally by their bootstraps, and they have achieved such success that they are now an economic power in this world. So we assume that they must be doing something right, and if they are doing something right, it is worthwhile copying. We have been copying from the West for a long time, but there are faults in the West, and there are a lot of failures now. So we thought that we would look east and at the Japanese, at the Koreans, Taiwanese, and see what they are doing, which has led to their success. We find, for example, that the Japanese work ethics is worthy of emulation. Their discipline, their team spirit, their strong patriotism, these are factors that has contributed towards their success, and we want to copy them.
What role do you see Malaysia play in a family of nations in Southeast Asia?
Well, we have a very distinct policy on this. We want to create a zone of peace, freedom, and neutrality in this area. We have spelled that out. It has now been taken up by the ASEAN nation, the 6 ASEAN nations in Southeast Asia. What we want to see, of course, is that the whole area becomes peaceful, and foreign powers do not come here in order to fight each other or to use proxies in their fight against each other. That is the role that we would like to play as a country that loves peace and wants to work for peace in this area at least.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The automobile industry has undeniably played a major role in the economic development of the United States and, more recently, Japan. So why not Malaysia? In 1982, the Malaysian government announced that the country would enter a new era of industrialization with the manufacture of its own made-in-Malaysia car, the Proton saga. In 1984, Proton opened this plant, covering almost 190 acres, the largest and most modern facility in Southeast Asia, capable of producing 80,000 units per year on a double-shift operation. The Malaysian National Car Project is expected to stimulate local supporting industries such as metal, rubber, plastics, components, and electronics, and to create a core of industrial and commercial managers, as well as a skilled workforce. Employees here are trained in Japan for periods ranging from 6 to 12 months at the factories of Mitsubishi Motors Corporation, Proton's joint venture partner.